is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you pump the brakes just a little bit. Welcome in. We are live here on this Tuesday. Appreciate you guys making A to Z part of your everyday sports listen. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. A lot to do today. Of course, we got some Braves news to get to, even some Georgia Bulldogs news coming up, but I want to start with the Atlanta Falcons and their preseason game last night, second preseason game. They fall to the New York Jets 24-16. They sprinted out to a 16-3 lead at halftime, didn't score any points in the second half. Who cares? None of this matters. I told you, and my good friends at the Falcoholic asked the same question. What are we looking for in game 2 of the preseason? And all I wrote was no one get hurt, and nobody got hurt. So therefore, it is a win. And the one thing I did say I was going to check, and full disclosure, I put on like the second half for 10 minutes last night. I'm just not that engaged by preseason football, guys. I don't think really you can glean too much from it. I've said it repeatedly over and over again. That said, I did watch a little bit of the game last night. The one thing I said I was going to look for was how often Mariota and Ritter took off and ran. We'll check the stat sheet. 0. No rushes for Mariota. No rushes for Ritter. And they took advantage. Combined, they were 16-23 for 275 yards and a touchdown. And the only quarterback who did run last night was Felipe Franks. 5 carries, 45 yards. So he was 2 of 8 passing. He wasn't all that good. So anyway, I'm glad to see that Ritter and Mariota stayed in the pocket and threw the ball down the field. Now, again, full disclosure, the Jets rested a lot of their D-line guys. They did not play their best, and it was a game where none of it mattered. Now, of course, you'd rather have your guys play well than play poorly. It doesn't matter who it's against. Just the same thing in practice. You'd rather have them practice well than practice poorly. It doesn't matter who it's against or what the situation is. It's always better to be good instead of being bad. That said, there was some bad last night. This was a team that had a ton of penalties in that game. The sloppiness is going to hurt this team. The mistakes are going to hurt this team, and it's not something that you can recover from easily. Last night, penalty-wise, Falcons had 13 penalties for 121 yards. Jets weren't much better. Excuse me. 11 penalties for 104 yards. And this feeds into something bigger. And some of you are going to call this nitpicking, and that's fine. I don't think it's nitpicking. I think it's you take exactly what you need to take from the preseason and you go forward from there. But there were some things that I saw that make me say pump the brakes a little bit yet. Because you have to dive a little bit deeper into what you saw and look for things that have gone wrong. And this is what coaches do, by the way, guys. This is how coaches become successful. They become super critical of everything. They work down to the finest level detail. And me doing the same thing here isn't bagging on the team. It is 100% looking at things from a critical point of view to find ways to improve. There was one big critique last night, and it probably wasn't where you think, and I'll tell you about that in a second. First, a word from our friends at Dave. Have you guys ever been in a pinch for cash? At some point in your life, you're a little tight on money, and maybe you can only afford to put just a few gallons of gas in the car, or you got a big event coming up like a wedding. You don't know how you're going to pay for a gift or what you're going to do. That's where Dave can help. If you're living paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet, it can be really stressful when expenses come up or unexpected expenses come up. Dave gets you out of a pinch in a hurry. Dave's a banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. That's 1 minute to fill your tank, buy that gift, get something for something to be special, catch up on bills, finally tackle the expenses that you've been stressing out without any hangups. There's no interest, no credit check needed, and millions of people have already done the same thing to get financial relief they need with extra cash. So if you're in a pinch, You need extra help, Dave's the place to go. Download the Dave app from the App Store right now. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member FDIC. Future you will thank you. All right. Here's me being critical. The most notable play of the night was not as successful as you'd think. The most notable play of the night was the first play of the night, the 52-yard reception from Marcus Mariota to Kyle Pitts. If you want to nitpick, and you can call it nitpicking, I call it just, stating what it is. Mariota severely underthrew that ball. At this point, Marcus Mariota should know that Kyle Pitts is one of the 2 or 3 fastest people on the field. When Kyle Pitts, that is, took off and broke that route and went down the field streaking and had 5 yards of separation between Kyle Pitts and a Jets defender, he severely underthrew that ball. If that Jets defender had any closing speed, that ball could get picked easily. Furthermore, that ball, if it's thrown over Kyle Pitts in stride, keeps him running, that's a touchdown. Because it was underthrown, it allowed the Jets defender to catch up and push him out of bounds. And I think, let me just double check, the Falcons ended up settling for a field goal on that drive instead of scoring a touchdown. Yeah, they did. Younghoe Koo kicks a 23-yarder, stalled inside the red zone. Hi, these are problems for this team. You cannot make those kind of mistakes when you are an inferior, talented team. You do not have the margin for error. You do not have the ability to make things up. And you do not have the ability to play catch-up when you are the lesser talented team. Mistakes like that will kill this team. Mistakes like that are why they're going to lose games 24-20 instead of winning games 25-24. You get the point. Who cares what the score is? Those are the kind of mistakes that this team is not talented enough to recover from. That should have been 6. It should have been a 7-0 lead right from the get-go. And you can't leave those points on the board. And then on top of it all, you stalled inside the red zone. Where have the Falcons consistently had problems over the years? Inside the red zone. Now, you can sit here, roll your eyes at me all you want and say to me, Zinno, you're being so critical. They played a good game last night. Fine. I'll be critical. But this is what Arthur Smith is doing. And I guarantee you in that film room, they sat there and lambasted Marcus Mariota for underthrowing that ball. That should be 6. And I can't believe no one said it on the broadcast. I can't believe it wasn't pointed out. Mariota missed a huge opportunity. You cannot underthrow Kyle Pitts. You're allowed to overthrow him. You can't underthrow him. You want to know why you can overthrow him? Because it's really damn hard to overthrow a guy who has a 4.5 40 speed. Like, you have got to really work hard to overthrow a guy like Kyle Pitts. Inexcusable. Mistakes like that are going to kill this team, folks. They really are. Pump the brakes a little bit. You can get all excited about how good Mariota and Ritter look. You can get all excited all you want. But this is preseason. It doesn't count. But those mistakes do count. You cannot underthrow that ball. Mariota wasn't under pressure. He had plenty of time. He stepped into it, or should have stepped more into it, but he had plenty of room and space to step into the throw. That ball cannot be underthrown, period. And if you disagree with me, go ask a football coach. This is the difference between this team winning 7 or 8 or 9 games, possibly being in playoff contention, and winning 5 or 6 or 7 games. Those plays. I say it all the time. Every game in the NFL comes down to a handful of plays, 2 or 3 of them. You make them, you win. You don't, you lose. Who cares about the win or loss in the preseason? I care about the regular season. Make that play in a regular season game, you're on the wrong side of it. You go back to that one. Should have been 7. All right, coming up next, a team that hasn't made many mistakes as of late, the Atlanta Braves, are excelling in one particular area that is good, but it's also bad. That's coming up next right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.